Hi, this is Neil from UseMyFrame.com. I got a question for you. Have you ever wondered how fast or slow does it take for photochromics to change from dark to clear when you come inside? That's a question we get asked all the time, and today we're going to put them to the test. I got 3 lenses by 3 very big brands, including Essilor's Transitions, and 2 others we're going to put up against them. We're going to see and test uh, what clarity percentage they start at, what darkness they reach in 30 seconds, and then after 2 minutes, what clarity do they return to. So it's going to be a fun one. Make sure you stick around, and if you have any predictions, put them in the comments below. I'd like to see them. Let's see what happens. All right. So we have our Essilor transition, which is probably the most common. Next, we have our Visionese Life RX, which is a very tried and true photochromic, been around for a while. And our third one today will be the IoT Neochrome. To test, we have it's actually a Transitions brand tester, and what's nice about it is it has a 30-second timer built in, so that'll be nice. And it's going to, you can see how low it is to the table, so it's going to turn these lenses very dark very quick. That's something to anticipate, and that's okay because we're going to let them all go without the UV test for the same amount of time and just test relative to one another what is their percentage of light transmission at the end of that 2 minutes. Okay, so this is the tester we'll be using. We're going to be measuring visible light, and as soon as the light goes off here, we're going to start the 2-minute timer and let them go. All right, so first thing we'll check is the clear state of each one. So starting with transitions, these are all single vision polycarbonate lenses, by the way. So we have 88%, and I'm going to write that because the reason that's important is because not all lenses start at the same light transmission at their clear state. So we're going to check each one just so we have a good foundation to start with. Okay, the Visionese is 89. And I'm just keeping a little notepad right here. It changed to 90 plus or minus 1%. We're going to let it ride. And finally, the IoT. Also 88. All right, so we got them all tested at their clear. Let's start making them dark. We'll start with the Transitions brand. So we'll put it in here. That. And if you hit it one time, it goes 30 seconds. Oops. And you can see that it's definitely getting dark. So will of course be their maximum darkness for all 3 of these. And as soon as that timer stops, I'm going to check its darkness and set the other timer. Right there. Start this timer and put this in. We're at 5% for the transitions. So 30 second to dark, We're at 5%. All right. We're just going to let it sit, get to the 2 minutes, and then we're going to test it again. 2 minutes is probably the most common time that people expect their lenses to get to start clearing up to be usable indoors. Now, I know if you go on the website and check all these, you'll see that they say a certain percentage based off of a certain time or even a certain category, but even that sometimes can be a little hard to understand when you're not really used to thinking like that. So that's why I figured this would be a good way of testing it. I don't remember if I said it, but all three of these lenses are polycarbonate. They've all been surfaced. So we've done our best to make this test as even as possible. They've all been, the thicknesses are all the same, trying to leave no variations. So the test is fair for each one. All right, now you could tell this lens is still pretty dark. Here's how it looks. See it through a white background a little better. All right, and the transitions brand after 2 minutes, we're at 28%. So we're going to write that. Okay, one down. Now we'll do the next one. Now, 2 minutes is only a guide, and the one thing to keep in mind is this little tester is having the UV light very close to the lens. So they're getting hit with a lot of UV really quick. So they're changing a little darker than normal or a little faster than normal and also a little darker than what you may see outside in that amount of time. They will eventually all get to that darkness that this shows. So just keep in mind this is sort of a maximum darkness that these are getting to, and then what do they clear up to in 2 minutes. So there we go. And the reason I set the timer right after this stops is so the timing is more consistent. Maybe there's a variation in how long it takes me to put it in the UV tester or visible light. Well, it's a UV tester and visible light. We're measuring visible light, and I guess I should say all of these lenses block UV 100%. That goes without question. And yes, I have tested that. Okay, so here we go. Let's test this Visionese lens. 30 seconds. And I may even want to do this test again, maybe let them light to 3 or 4 minutes. That might be give a little more time and give a little better test, I think. If you want to see that, let me know in the comments below. Stuff definitely takes time, and so people don't want to see it. I don't want to do it. All right, set our timer, and boom, where do we measure? We are at 11. All right, so I'm going to put that in our little notepad here. 11. All right, so that's our Visionese Life RX. That's what it looks like at full darkness. We'll let this go and we'll test it after 2 minutes. We'll see what we get and how they compare. And remember, according to our initial tests, this was actually the clearest lens to start with. Not by a lot, they're all within 1%, so take that with a grain of salt. So we just passed about a minute left. Here's how it's looking so far. Looking a little lighter. You can tell the shade of gray is a little different on here. Maybe a little more blue or purplish undertones than the Transitions brand. Some people like that, some don't. And just for comparison, our Transition brand, it went to 28%. We're going to see what these are. So, and remember, that's 28% of light passing through. Right now it's at 100. So, because there's nothing there. So when we put anything in there, it's getting in the way of the light and stopping it. So slowing it down. So 52%. All right. My handwriting's a little sloppy, but 52%. And you could actually see it. Look at that. Just from the time I was getting ready to take it off of there, it's climbing. And they all do that too. I will say I have tested that. They all, if you leave them on the meter, you'll see them all slowly go up. Now, why did this? I think I accidentally hit the wrong button. You know what? Let me just turn this off. I'm back on. There we go. 2 minutes. Okay, our last one to test. And IoT, a very good independent company. They make great progressives. Let's take a look and let's test our neochrome. All right, and here we go. Not sure how good it shows on camera, but it's so cool to watch these lenses darken up so quickly. And they all do. So according to our numbers, though, you will see that Transitions did get the darkest. It did block the most light from passing through. All right. And we are at 5%. I'm surprised. So let's put that in our test. Oh, I wrote that so bogus. Okay. We're going to let that sit. Here's how this one looks. That, I gotta say, that is a good gray color. I like that. I hope that's coming through on the camera okay. Maybe up on here. Yeah. That's a nice gray color. No blues, no purples. Very, very little. I like that. Put that here. If you don't use that meter, it'll go back to its home setting so you can test something else, but this is all we need it for right now. So we're just past that minute mark. Let's see how it looks. Looking pretty good, I'd say, actually. That ain't looking bad at all. Huh. Very cool. We got about 30 seconds left. Let's see. So the Transitions got up to 28%. The Visionese got up to 52%, but the Visionese didn't get as dark. This one, this IoT did get as dark as the Transitions brand. So this will be really interesting to see. Will it also be 28? Will it match? Or will it be 26%? So just a little bit under the Transitions brand, a couple percent. But it got as dark as them, and it got cleared up almost to that much. Very interesting. All right, let's. If I didn't get that phone call, I could have tested these after so much time, but I lost track of time, so that'll have to be for another video. If you want to see it, let me know. Well, I figured I'd come out here and do a quick recap over some of the results I got last night. And if you see that body of water behind me, that's the Rock River. And we're finally getting some nice weather here in Illinois. So I'm trying to take every advantage to get out here and enjoy it. Some people ask me what transitions I wear or what photochromic. I do wear transitions, Generation 8, not the extractive, just the regular ones. And I find that they always get dark enough for me and reasonably clear fast enough for me when I go inside, right? So always been happy with them, and I love the convenience of kind of having two pair of glasses in one, sunglasses and regular. It's a big win. So I got these three lenses out here with me again. Um, that's the Essilor Transitions. I'm just kind of sitting out here. I've been waiting for these to, as I set everything up out here. There's the Visionese Life RX. And our surprise, or my surprise, was the IoT Neochrome. So I was kind of thinking about this last night and just kind of combing everything over. And that's why I figured, you know what? I should just do a little recap in the morning. And so I figured that's what this will be. It's just a quick little recap. I'll put up the numbers on the screen so you can follow along and see what we got here and just kind of my thoughts on the process. Name recognition, there's no bigger brand when it comes to transitions. Even a lot of times people come in the store or go into a optical store and they request transitions because the name is so popular. Even if they don't sell transitions in that optical store, they will sell them photochromics, but everybody knows them by transitions. And that's one practice I never really agreed with. So even though it sort of uh, adds a little bit of complexity to our site and we have to kind of explain it because we do offer transitions and photochromics separately so people can decide for themselves whether they want uh, the name brand or a different version. Um, but not all places do that. So, and I don't think that's right. So anyway, the Transitions is a brand that's been around forever, and they're kind of tested, and they are the gold standard, pretty much, by which every other photochromic is compared to, whether people like hearing that or not. It's true. Um, they do a great job. One of the other things with Transitions is the color accuracy of them. You get a true gray or you get a true brown. You notice with the Visionese one, the color looked a little blue or a little purple, right? And you could probably, and that was always one of the big things. This is the Visionese one. I don't know how good that's coming up here, but um, but you could definitely see it yesterday when I was putting it over the paper. This is the Transitions, just so you can kind of compare. And that's sort of how it's been. Now I know Visionese has come out with a newer lens than this one. This is sort of their older one, um, and they call it just a photo gray. And I remember from what I remember, that's a little redundant, but I remember that one being more true to the gray color than what this one was. So this one, the Life RX, was sort of early on. I'm not even, I'd have to go back and look exactly how long ago this was released. But um, the the big uh, the big one to me last night, yeah, I was up late last night going through this stuff in the shop, doing this video, and the big surprise to me was the one by IoT. Now, I got this lens while I was at a user group meeting in Florida. Um, the lab program we use is Innovations, and every year they have a kind of a conference, and you go there and you learn about different things. And they have different vendors that will come out and speak, and one of them was IoT. And so the two girls, Tina and Shannon, uh, they passed out these samples to everybody. This one too, their neochrome, and I just kind of tossed it in my bag and never really thought much of it, you know. And it wasn't until probably the next year or so uh, really gave it any serious thought about, hey, you know what, we should just test these different photochromics. I did a lens, or I did a video similar with the polarized lenses, and that turned out to be pretty informative. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. Who makes the darkest transit, or who makes the darkest polarized lens? So the idea here was to do the same thing, but to do it for photochromics. It's a little more complicated because we have to check the clear state, then we have to check their, you know, at a given time we have to check how much did they darken, and then how much time passes before how much they lighten. A little more to it, but I think it was really a good test, and I was really surprised by these IoT neochrome. I'm really happy with what they did here. This is a really good lens, and I've heard about them for a long time. And this is their lens that's most comparable to Transition's signature Jenny, right? So um, they do have, IoT does have a faster photochromic, which I'm going to have to test it now. Now I'm really interested in seeing some of their other offerings, which um, is good to see. You know, it's good to see these other companies kind of get in this space and really challenge Essilor. That's the best thing for the customer is choices, right? It's that competitiveness. And so I got my little notes here from yesterday, and they all started at about the same clearness. Vision Ease had just a 1% more of clarity, or allowed a little bit more light to pass through. And I guess maybe that's something to explain too, is what does that mean? So when you look at that meter that I have in the shop, when there's no lens under there, it's showing 100% light transmission because there's nothing in the way on that meter. And that makes sense, right? There's nothing in between. So when you put a lens in there, any lens, doesn't matter, you are restricting the flow of light through that medium, even if it's just a tiny amount. And these turn out to be a little more than what you might think, right? You'd think, oh, it would just be 99% or 98% of light would pass through, but it's not the case. A lot of light is reflected off the surfaces. That's some of it. And an anti-reflective coating helps with that. I've actually tested that, but I haven't filmed it. I'll have to do that, show you what I mean by that. It's pretty fascinating. But the amount of light traveling through is what we're measuring. You know, like I said, they all block 100% UV. They all do that. But how much light are they passing through when they're at their clear state and when they're at their dark state? And that's what we were measuring. So in the clear state, you want them to pass as much light as through as possible, right? So if you like it to be even more clear, consider adding an anti-reflective coating on the transitions lenses, which is a question we get asked all the time. It's not so much a benefit when they're dark, but the benefit is when they're clear. They get a little bit more light to pass through. The more light, the better vision, the the better vision, the better clarity. So at the dark state, 30 seconds to dark, they all got dark, all sufficiently what they call a category 3 and maybe even a little more pair of sunglasses. And with the Essilor transitions and IoT Neochrome both hitting about 5%. So meaning they were blocking about 95% of light coming through. Now that is, I think, a little uh, unrealistic, right? I don't think in most casual everyday scenarios they're gonna hit that level of darkness. But it's good to see what is maybe their maximum, right? Tests like this, what are we testing? We're testing limits. We're testing the the capabilities of these lenses. So I think there's still a valid use case, and keeping it a consistent and fair test environment, that was kind of an important consideration too. So Vision Ease was the Life RX was the lightest of the three. It got down to 11%, and the other two were at 5%. And the big surprise to me again was that Neochrome. After 2 minutes, the Essilor transitions got up to 28%. And remember, the higher the better. You want them to be, back to that 88 of where they started, 88% or 89%, like in the case of Vision Ease. And the clearer they get, the better they are. That's people want them to get dark fast. They want them to get dark overall when they're outside, and then when they go inside, they want them to get clear like that, right? We know that doesn't happen that fast, but that's the idea, and that's the goal. And every year, all these companies keep getting better and improving their products, and which is great. So the Essilor transitions got up to 28%, back up to 28% from 5% to 28%. And the Vision Ease got up to 52%. It got up the highest. It went up to the clear state the fastest. And that's what I was saying, where some people, they don't want the lenses to get as dark, because the darker they get, the longer they're going to take to return to clear. And that's just part of the process, right? There's no getting around that. If you have two cups of water, one at 100 degrees and one at 120 degrees, and let them both sit in room temperature, which one's going to get to room temperature fastest? It's the one that's 100 degrees, right? Because it's already closest to it. So it's the same kind of principle when it comes to these photochromics. The Vision Ease, the Life RX, it didn't get as dark. So because of that, it was closer to its clear state. So at that 2-minute mark, it was it let the most amount of light through again at that 2-minute mark, right? And we should expect to see that in a lens that's not as dark as the other ones. So there are other photochromics that specialize in that. And like I said, IoT has some, and I think from what I heard, Essilor, they got some new lenses come out. They're calling them Generation S. Really excited about that. That's pretty cool. We'll have to check them out. And then finally, the Neochrome got up to 26%. So almost as clear as the Transitions brand. Now, what this test didn't show was we kind of capped them all at 2 minutes, mostly probably for time, right? But what I wouldn't mind doing is testing them again at 3 minutes or 4 minutes or maybe 5 minutes, right? And normally, like I said, when we're wearing these glasses, these lenses throughout the day, and we're going outside, they're not getting this level of darkness. This was in sort of a controlled environment right under that UV light. And that's going to make a big difference, because we're dropping them so far. So at that 2-minute time, they're only coming up a little bit. Whereas, you know, a regular day-to-day situation, they're not going to be getting all the way that dark. So when you do go inside, they're going to come into a more usable clarity level faster. All of them would do that. So, but there are some photochromics, like I said, that do specialize in that. I will make sure to test that. If you have any brands that you would like to see tested, make sure to drop a comment, and I'll do my best to do so. This test was a lot of fun, and I know I have already a bunch of lenses that are ready. I just have to kind of allocate the time to show them. But if you have any other ideas or suggestions for me, be sure to drop a comment. I actually read everyone. I try to reply to everyone. And so hopefully you're grateful for these videos, and likewise I'm grateful for your comments. And it's good to engage in these kind of things and learn a little more as we move along this journey. So I'm probably going to sit here, enjoy this nice day for a few more minutes, and and then I'll head back to the shop and do what we do, make your glasses. So if you choose us, UseMyFrame.com, I am very grateful. Thank you again, and thanks for watching.